What was more important than the invention of the first telephone? The second one. Have you ever seen a sad grandpa? It's really disappointing to look at when a grandpa's just crying in the corner, and you don't know whether or not you should go over and like see what he wants, or if he's okay. Maybe he like dropped an ice cream cone or something like that, and you're just thinking to yourself, well, Grandpa, why are you so sad? And it's like, you go over to him and tell him, well, he just got shot down by a prostitute or something like that. And then he's like, or you're like, rather, oh, sorry I asked. I thought you were going to tell me something heartfelt and emotional, but rather it was just something about how disgusting of a human person you are. And I'm a little bit upset that I decided to ask you, because honestly I thought you'd be a nicer person, a more genuine person, not so bent on the prostitution stuff, you know, like that, going on backpages.com, looking up escorts, you know. You're just looking for a good time tonight, like your wife's out of town or something like that, and then you find out that you're actually just a pervy old man, and you really want to give old people the benefit of the doubt, because they've been around for a very long time, and they know a lot of stories, unless they have them in amnesia, and then at that point it's like, well, I guess they don't know that much, but, you know, maybe they have some experiences that they'd like to tell. There was some guy a little while ago who, I believe he woke up outside of a Burger King or something like that, and he had no recollection of who he was or what happened, and there was like no evidence of like blunt force trauma to his head or nothing like that. He wasn't in like a car accident. I think his name might have been Kyle, or no, Benjamin Kyle is what his name was. His name was Benjamin Kyle because his initials would be BK, and since he was found outside of a Burger King, then his whole initials would be BK, like Burger King. You know, it's like funny. It's like a joke. Not a good joke, but it's still kind of like a joke. It's like a funny thing. If he told somebody that in the future, if he ever had a family and got married and something like that, he'd be like, yeah, I didn't used to have memories, but now I'm BK. And the weird thing was, like, nobody ever stepped forward and said, yes, I've seen this man before. I know who he is. And that was the weirdest part about it, too, because he was like 41, 42 years old, and nobody ever like filed a missing persons report to which he met the specifications. And because of all that, it was just a huge fucking mystery. And I think that was super fascinating, because, like, how is it that a person can just mysteriously disappear, you know, like, off the face of the earth? Well, or rather, not disappear, but how is it that there can be so many people out there who don't know who this man is, and nobody would ever step forward and say that they did know who the man was, and it's just, like, I don't know, it's a weird situation. Amnesia, it's a weird, excuse me. Ugh, I just vomited in my mouth a little bit. Thank you. Rather, it's like there's, okay, so there's two different types of amnesia. There's like retrograde amnesia and like antegrade amnesia, I think it might be. And retrograde amnesia is where you forget everything that happened after you got the amnesia, and because of that, like, you can't remember anything that happened about your previous life and who you were and stuff like that. But antegrade amnesia is like where you can't make new memories, I think, and because of that, like, it's like in that movie 50 First Dates where that girl gets the amnesia, and Adam Sandler has to make her fall in love with him every single day, and they start having kids, and he's still got to like make her remember who he was, even though they're married, and you'd think that a married person would know all about his, or a married female would know all about her husband and stuff like that. Maybe she really just was concerned because she was like, did I really marry this guy? Maybe I'll just pretend to have amnesia. And that was like a joke. And it starred Reese Witherspoon. And if you look at a picture of Reese holding a spoon, it's Reese with a spoon, but then without the spoon, it's Reese without a spoon. I kept trying to say wreath, like a coral wreath, but not the right way that a person would say that. Oh, shit. Please no, please no, please no. Okay, thank God. Thank God. I don't know. Does this stuff make sense to you? Do you think this stuff's interesting? I don't know. I really do. These psychological issues. It's like when somebody is you know, has multiple personality disorder, which it turns out is actually a thing. You might be thinking to yourself, well, there's no way that split personality disorder could be a real thing. And I'll tell you what it is. And usually it comes about from like traumatic experiences, like a person had a super traumatic experience growing up, and for whatever reason they never got over it, and now they're just like a crazy person. Like they always feel like somebody's watching them. You know, like the song goes, like that song. Or schizophrenia, that's also fucking cool. Like when you have like a word salad when somebody says the platypus never looked at the dog the same way after that day when we went down to the park and held hands on the Ferris wheel. That's a word salad. That's not improvisation, that's a word salad. And usually these people are like kept away from the public eye, but sometimes they're allowed to have social media accounts, and then it's super fucking fascinating because you'll have like these women, like there's this woman who always talks about Kate Winston, the English princess, I think, maybe. I don't know much about British royalty, so maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's right. I don't know, Winslet, something like that. She calls her Caitlyn, but she always calls her Caitlyn with a C instead of a K, even though her name's like Kate. And she's always talking to herself on Facebook, and it's like super fucking creepy because like she's not talking to anybody but herself. She's only got like 10 friends on Facebook, and nobody else is responding to her comments. Only herself is commenting on everything she posts, and it's, I don't know, it's just bizarre. Like it's not funny. It's just bizarre, and you might be thinking to yourself, well, SparkleDart, it's not okay to laugh at crazy people, and I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm not laughing at her because she's crazy. I'm not laughing at it, I guess is what I should say. I'm more just fascinated. It's like when so the whole Chris Chan fiasco, I'm sure you're all familiar with Chris Chan. If you're internet savvy little boys, like I assume you all are, Chris Chan is somebody who has a very long presence of internet notoriety, and the most fascinating thing about Chris Chan is not the fact that he created like a combination of Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog. Moreover, it's the fact that he's a terrible person, and every terrible thing about him that is known to the internet was shared by himself. Nobody like dug into his life and found this stuff out. He shared it with everybody, and it was like, you probably could have avoided all of this if you had just been a little more cautious about what you're willing to share with the internet. And maybe that's a little presumptuous of me to like say something like that, but it makes sense to me that you wouldn't want to share that sort of private information with yourself, with like thousands of people go on the internet and like look at this stuff every single day. And it's like, you complain about being trolled, but you're setting yourself up to be trolled. It's not anybody else's fault but your own. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, it's not right to blame him. The man has autism. He's very particular about that too. He wants you to know that he has autism. And I think that's the strangest thing, is that he thinks that he can get away with whatever he wants to because of the autism situation, which, generally speaking, in like a progressive and nice and caring society, that's kind of true. But we shouldn't give him validation for having these issues, because honestly, it is a problem to laugh at people who have these social and neurological impairments, if you will allow me to say so. But at the end of the day, it's more just fascinating. I don't know. Like I've said like 5 times now that these neurological issues are fascinating more so than they are like funny. I don't know, because people they see someone like in high school, you see someone who's different from you, and your first instinction is to like start laughing at them and like make a joke out of them, and then those people go on to wear trench coats and shoot up the school, and at that point it is your fault. But if these people don't become violent like sociopaths, then it's just a look into the life of the mentally not challenged. I don't want to say challenged, but the mentally different. They have different ways of thinking. People with the aughts, they think a lot about. I got the hiccups today. They think a lot about blue hedgehogs, and they think a lot about pony shows and stuff like that. And they think about web comics that look like text adventure comics. And they've got a bunch of characters that have orange horns on their heads and whatever. And it doesn't make sense to the normal viewer, but to the person with the autisms, it makes a lot of sense, and it's very interesting to read. And that's what's the most important thing. It's just that they are aware that maybe what they're doing is different in a manner of speaking, but that they're okay with it. That they're okay with how different they are. You have to embrace the differences that we all have as people, human beings in this world. Because if you can't be okay with the fact that people are different from you, then what's even the point of being alive, so to speak. Talking about Pepsi. I don't know. I'd like to think I'm very accepting of a person. Maybe not so much to certain people of certain creeds and eye shapes. Moreover, but you know what I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, it's a complicated thing, to be sure. But just some people have made peace with the fact that they are differently abled, and if not everybody else has, then I guess being accepting is the only thing that you can do for them. If you really want them to succeed, if you don't know them, then who gives a shit? Don't even bother. You should only be helping people that you know, because that's your selfish person and you're greedy, and you only want to help things or do things that could immediately benefit you in the future. Maybe not now, but in the future. And that's fine if that's how it is. If that's how it's got to be, you can really just own up to it. Whatever. So how about when one company acquisitions another company, and then that other company they start firing all the employees because they've got their own employees that they think would be a better fit for the company. They want to get rid of the CEO, the board of directors, and just really trim the fat, so to speak. And after a point, it's like that company didn't even exist, because now the first company only bought them so that they could acquire their product. And it's well, if you wanted to do a joint promotion thing, we would have been okay to do that. Then for you to buy a company and then sell it down the river and make it go out of business, defunct as of 2011, or whatever. It's called a merger. I've taken Economics 101. I know all about the business world. If you've never taken Economics 101, then you don't know about supply and demand. If somebody wants something and you can give it to them for a cheaper price, then you should do that. But if the demand is high and the supply is low, then the price will go up, and that's just how it works. That's how these things work in real life. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, they should just make more of the product, and sometimes you can't just do that, because a lot of electronics are made with plated with gold and stuff. There's gold inside of their alright, well, I'm dead. Their products are plated with gold, and not enough gold, the cost, the price of the gold is built into the price of the product, so it's not like you can make a profit off of gutting the product and selling the gold. But if you were to pick up electronics from a junkyard, I guess you could do that. People do that. It's called I don't know what it's called, but they take the copper wires and stuff out of the product and then sell it on the black market or something like that. There was one time, we've got something in my town called Junk Day, and I was looking for a TV, an old TV that had a VCR and component inputs, red, white, yellow, and there were a lot of them that I found. Not like a big one either, a small one. And there were a lot of them that I found, but all of them had their cable cords cut off. I guess someone was driving around cutting off the power cords to these things. And all around my town I must have driven, and the only TV that I found that still had theirs intact was way too big to fit into my car. And then I'm well, fuck this, I'm just going to go home and play Jenga with myself and then drink a martini or something like that. And I'm you know what? Screw it. I'm going to stop into this one last neighborhood on my way home, see if I can't find something. And then I did, and then I found my TV. And that's actually the TV that I use when I record console games for this show. So, in a manner of speaking, Junk Day saved my life. That's not true. That's not even close to true. So anyways, thank you for watching SparkleDart. I'm going to stop being an idiot, I guess, for a little while. That's going to be hard for me to do, but I think maybe I can pull it off. I don't know. We'll see. Goodbye. Mwah.